If you don't have a great social team that's clipping off the best moments, ain't nobody gonna see it.
All right, let's jump right into it, TJ. So it's been a minute. You've been on the podcast, I think, like 4 years ago now, but you're a multi guest at this moment.
Yeah, I feel it, but I've been of an OG.
I know on the walk over, I was like, we've been in this game for so long. Like we met 10 years ago. Are we the unks? Are we the OGs?
He's like, I know we're OG 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah,
I feel like OG is aspirational. Like people refer to you as an OG.
it's more respect.
It's respect. It's they recognize that you possess knowledge that they might not have. Whereas Unc is just you wash. So I'm not accepting none of that pages.
Oh, and I feel like it's kind of an interesting question. Like Gen Z and millennials are the closest generation I think ever in terms of usually the boomers versus the millennials were like two different stratospheres apart.
Yeah.
But I know we're gonna get more into social and marketing, but I'm sure you have some thoughts on just like how the generations are functioning before, because we both grew up on this digital social age.
Yeah, I think about this a lot,
Yeah.
particularly with athletes and younger employees. There's just so much more access to information.
Yeah,
And
information age.
I think the democratization of information and being able to hop on a ChatGPT to get a full baked answer, or the internet in any corner of the internet, has allowed people to possess just way more information than ever. And that has kind of closed the knowledge gap to a certain degree. The key difference though is a lived experience. And you can't manufacture whether dealing with the company that has gone through a layoff or an acquisition or getting hired or getting fired or all the things, or having to hire and fire people, man. Those are real experiences that you can't manufacture. So I think that is the lone delineation at this point. The information is accessible to everybody, but the actual lived experience is still to me a bit of the secret sauce, which is why old guys like us stick around.
Keep the audience posted. Last time we chatted at length from the pod, global head of sports over at Twitter spent 7 years, 10 years there. You're there for a second. You're doing a lot of things now, advising and then consulting, but also Arcto. So walk the audience through what the new TJ.
Wow. So it's fascinating. I haven't done this in a while, so I have to. This will be the first time
You don't have your elevator pitch on, but TJ's
out loud. Yeah. So in 2022, Elon Musk acquired Twitter, and I was there until probably mid 2023, if I recall correctly. I've resigned around May or June.
did those 6 months get a chapter in your book?
Uh, yeah, and our sponsors did not cut the check, took us going around. So won't speak too depth about that. But while I was probably the last year at Twitter, I served on the advisory board.
Right, that's right.
Which was I would dare say a life-changing appointment for me, because I had worked in social and digital for so long, but Artos was exposing me to a completely new world of sport, of knowledge, blind, and all of that. And I was just a sponge. And fortunately, I lived and breathed digital and social so much, for better or worse, that I was adding very differentiated value to them as an advisor as well. So that was kind of like my last year at Twitter, right before the transition to X. I resigned. And then very quickly, my role at Artos expanded to be an operating partner at House. And that everyone's like, what do you do there? Like, do you wear suits and stuff? And my role is very simple. I mean, I think when you think about traditional private equity, most people just think about sourcing capital and deploying capital, getting money and issuing money. In this particular instance, I think with Arctos and really the broader industry have come to the understanding that yes, capital is really important, but as you work across a portfolio, you want to show differentiated value.
Yeah.
And there are different ways to go about doing that. But one of the approaches that Arctos has taken is we want subject matter experts. We want industry experts to be able to deploy to our portfolio to provide a different set of.
It's not just a castle, it's knowledge.
That's correct.
Value shares, yeah.
That's correct. So my scope, my remit at Arctos is very specifically to advise teams on digital fan engagement, the creator economy, ecosystem connectivity. I can call it David Whitley. I could call John Cruz at YouTube or the folks at TikTok or Meta and Snapchat, and I'm on those guys, and they're all friends. I've worked with these folks for a long time. These are deep partnerships that have existed for a decade plus, and that provides value to for sure to my folks. And then you think about us being here. It's Dagwell. I've had the luxury of working really closely with this team from the inception of Sport Beach. A lot of that is because of the work that I led at Twitter when we would come to Cannes each and every year. Ironically enough, this footprint that we're at used to be Twitter Beach.
Interesting.
So it feels a little familiar. It feels like a home game. You know what I mean?
How's things doors in Cannes now?
Woo! I definitely didn't have gray hairs, and my beard did not connect. It's tough. I was a little patchy. I would say the first one was probably 17, 16 or 17. I don't say that too often, but I've been drinking rosé annually out of it for a few years.
I wanted to give you a compliment. Keisha Taylor from Scripps Network sat in that chair yesterday. I gave her a similar compliment, but I think you're someone that definitely understands like your net worth is your network. And I've been inspired by the way you move just in terms of the connections you build. Like obviously been, and I'll say this on a public forum, so appreciative of you connecting me to people too. And I know that's strategic. I know enough in the world to know that you don't just wake up and like, yeah, man, I'm just a cool person people like. So I always kind of geek out over how do you approach relationship building? How do you approach just being a good dude in so many different circles that allow you to, leverage that, but also have people gravitate towards you?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, thank you, Yael. And I think the reason why I'm able to leverage my network is because one, like I just generally speaking, I have a servant mentality.
Yeah.
And my objective is always to add value, and I think it's probably because I've sharpened my tools in the partnership space for so long.
Yeah.
And if you're a partnerships executive, your objective is to ensure that your partner sees value in working together, right? So that is kind of just endemic to me. Another thing I would say is I know dope people who do dope things. So when a team or league or a company is like, hey, we need to do best in class social,
Yeah.
I know who to call. And I don't doubt whether they're in good hands if I say, DB, yo, this brand, this Fortune 100 brand is thinking about social and digital. Can you run this play with? I already know what you're gonna do with it. Cause we've done it together for so long. So a lot of it is the trust that I have in the people within my network too. And if we're adding value on both sides of the coin, typically speaking, it actually deepens the partnership even more.
That's true. And you take those connections seriously. Like I'm going to make sure I provide value. I'm not going to take a risk on someone I just met. I got to make sure that the value will be there on the connection.
And I remember, a few times we've had these types of conversations offline.
Yeah.
And I'll hit you on the side and be like, yo, DB, this is a big one. Say like I need people like get me this far exactly. And you're like, say less. I know what that means. So that's helpful too.
Hey friends, quick favor. Can you please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you get any value from this episode or the show in general? We'd really, really appreciate it. Back to the action.
Let's talk about just where you feel social is going. I mean, again, we kind of joked earlier about the OGs and, even at STN, I remember begging for a $500 a month retainer. And now there's clients that paid us $200,000, $300,000 a month. And just seeing that difference in some of the areas, but the raw business. So, 200 a month is a big number, but it's joke that we used to be in the broom closet as my music started at no, but we used to be in the broom closet, not taken serious, and like tried to scream from the rooftops. And now, to your earlier point, every Fortune 100 company is like, if we don't figure out social now, we're out of business for 5 years. So, where do you see it all now and where it's going for everybody?
Well, one thing I would say is I very much feel I understand what it looks like to sit on the other side of it because I lived it for so long. I just assumed that it would be something that would always be very native to me.
Yeah.
And now that, I'm in an office and I'm wearing blazers and loafers, I'm not in the timeline as much.
Yeah,
Yeah, my instinct is still to wake up and scroll, not because it's unhealthy, but because I like to see what's moving the timeline, and that'll never change. But the actual like nuts and bolts of social changes and evolves so quickly. The algorithms change every day. The formats change every day. The manner with which you can, you know, develop and create content in real time changes. The resources required to do it changes. Now with AI, you that's completely revolutionary. And how people stat these teams, and type of content they can create, and part of one of the things that is important to me is when I go to um, our our franchises across our Artos portfolio is to show love to the CMOs at the content teams who are doing the work. We got 82 game schedule, you got 160 plus game schedule, and you got to be on the pitch, on the court, and then wake up and do the recap and be in the office and talk to brands. Like that social shit is real.
Well, even, we know a mutual friend, Katie Daly at ESPN, and she reorgs every single year because social moves so quickly. And like you said, and it's not even reorg is a I think a bad term for it oftentimes, but it's like, no, reorg in a good way. Like,
Yeah.
okay, TikTok is now becoming a priority. I gotta get a team on this, or how we can approach AI. But it moves so quickly that you have to be entrepreneurial. You really enjoy the change of everything.
One of my favorite people to talk to, I try to call him once a month, once a quarter. Is Omar Rush at these, just because they routinely find ways to stay a step ahead of the curve, and he's been
A data scientist, really.
100%. And I tell him all the time. I mean, I think people scroll through the timeline and assume that social is just vibes, and vibes and taste and feel is important. But there's a method to the madness. There's a science to it. There's strategy to it that I think is very much more than meets the eye. When you meet a guy like Omar, you recognize he knows within the first 10 seconds of a post whether it's going to hit or not.
Yeah.
And he recognizes that just because of years and years of reps, and he understands what engagement really, really looks like. So I just try to continue to be a student of the game to the extent that I can. But the biggest thing I would say is just the evolution that we've always known to exist in the space is even more rapid. And with artificial intelligence, and I think we're all kind of scratching our heads.
I kind of equate it to, every medium is almost similar you can learn from radio, TV, but if you remember the linear days, it's all about your lead in and trying to figure out the algorithm of like what the rating is going to do if I have this lead in or this lead in. Back in the day with Seinfeld or whatever. I wanted to ask you because you're so close, have so many relationships with athletes, and we've seen the $100 million deals for Kelsey Brothers and these really podcasts and player led storytelling. How do you see that space like as it is now and just how it evolves as really it's all about less than you need ESPN to put a mic in your face. You can just like fire the mic up yourself.
Yeah, it's incredible to see athletes, influencers, creators, really the creator economy at all, which includes that who is after take the main stage. It's super dope. People, the voice that people have now exists to a much larger degree than we've ever seen it there. It's funny, you kind of flashback over the years. It was like, oh wow, this guy's tweeting a lot. He is directly engaging his audience, a guy like a Kevin Durant years ago. And then, that has evolved to, like a person.
Tyrese did after Bill Colts, right?
Of course. So you see that all these athletes now are social and digital natives. They were born at this, so they really don't know much other than fully exposing themselves and giving everybody a look behind the curtain. The one thing I would say that will always be important, as far as I'm concerned, is infrastructure and ecosystem. It's one thing for you to be LeBron and to own, Spring Hill, and to own an incredible property like the Shop, but distribution is still really important, and having strategic partnerships from an infrastructural perspective is important because you got to amplify your shit, man. And I think a lot of these athletes, and just creators in general, understand that their channels are scaled distribution platforms, but you do benefit from having multiple touch points that allow you to amplify your reach. Because some people have incredible content or pods and nobody sees them. If you don't have a great social team that's clipping off the best moments from your podcast, ain't nobody gonna see you. People aren't sitting for 3-hour podcasts for each and every single athlete we have an affinity for. So distro becomes super important, which is why, the role of STN will continue to be pivotal, man, because people need to understand how to extract the best of moments from whatever long form you're working on to share with folks.
We have like 30 seconds left, but final take from you, because we see private equity getting involved in sports. We see Fortune 500 brands getting involved in sports. Why is sports such an amazing investment if we go forward the next?
Clock, I got 24 seconds.
Go.
Sports is the ultimate galvanizer. It's the ultimate community-based platform, and that'll never change. And it's live. It'll always be live. So people ask me what I think about sports rights and franchise values. I still think it's all undervalued.
Yeah.
When you look at Nielsen ratings, the top watch programs are always live sports each and every year. So there's still a significant amount of headway, and I think that we're still kind of scratching the surface as it relates to rights and fan engagement around sports. So we're well positioned to be at the forefront, or to continue to be at the forefront of what moves people the most, what makes people feel, and that's
When Netflix said they're not getting involved in sports, and they go Christmas Day and then Beyonce came out, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. They're here to stay, right? Thanks so much, TJ. Appreciate all the knowledge, man. Thanks so much. Sport Beats.